From the very first day I met Emma, it felt like my life had been waiting for her. I was 8 years old, shy, awkward, and hiding behind my mom's legs on the first day of elementary school in our little town in Ohio. The classroom smelled like crayons and pencil shavings, the walls decorated with posters of the alphabet and smiling cartoon animals. Everyone else seemed to already have someone to sit with, someone to whisper to while the teacher wrote her name on the board. I felt like I was about to disappear into the corner, unseen, when a girl with wild curly brown hair and a smile so bright it felt like sunlight tapped me on the shoulder. "Want to sit with me?" she asked, holding up her lunchbox like it was an invitation to something magical. Her name was Emma, and in that moment, she became my person. From then on, we were inseparable. We shared peanut butter sandwiches under the slide, swapped friendship bracelets on the bus, and whispered secrets during sleepovers, promising with pinky swears that nothing would ever come between us. Emma wasn't just a friend. She was my sister by choice, my anchor in every storm I faced at home. My family wasn't picture perfect. My parents fought often, voices echoing through the thin walls of our small house. My dad worked late shifts and came home tired, and my mom carried the weight of keeping everything together, though sometimes it broke her too. I didn't always understand what was happening, but I knew one thing. Emma was the one person I could talk to about anything. When my parents argued, I'd sneak over to her house, and her mom would welcome me with cookies and a smile. When Emma's dad left for good, I was the one sitting beside her on the porch, handing her tissues and promising we'd always have each other. We grew up together, molding each other into who we were becoming. She was bold where I was cautious, loud where I was quiet, and together we balanced each other like puzzle pieces that just fit. As we got older, our bond only grew stronger. By high school, people joked that we were attached at the hip. We joined the same clubs, went to the same parties, and even wore matching dresses to homecoming. When boys came into the picture, it didn't matter who was crushing on whom. We had an unspoken rule that nothing, not even romance, could break us apart. At least, that's what I believed. There's something about high school that forces you to grow up faster than you want to. The world feels bigger, the stakes higher, and suddenly secrets become heavier, harder to carry. I had one that no one else knew, not even Emma, not at first. It started the summer before sophomore year, when I discovered something about my family that turned my stomach inside out. I was cleaning the attic with my mom, pulling out boxes of old photographs, when I stumbled upon a manila envelope shoved behind a stack of yearbooks. My mom tried to snatch it from me before I could open it, but curiosity had already gotten the better of me. Inside was a collection of letters addressed to her, written in my dad's handwriting, except they weren't from this house. They were from another address, signed with love, but not to her. The name written at the top of those letters wasn't my mom's. It was another woman's. My heart pounded in my chest as I realized the truth. My dad was living a double life. My mom ripped the letters from my hands, her face pale, her eyes flashing with both fury and despair. "You didn't see anything," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You can't tell anyone. Do you understand?" "Not even Emma." I nodded, but the secret burned inside me like fire. For weeks, I carried it alone, pretending everything was normal while my family cracked at the seams. My dad came home late, offering flimsy excuses, and my mom wore a brittle smile that never reached her eyes. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and finally, one night at 2 in the morning during a sleepover, I broke down. I told Emma everything. She didn't laugh or judge. She held my hand, tears shining in her eyes, and swore she'd never tell another soul. "It's our secret now," she whispered. "I'll protect you always." And I believed her. Because Emma was my sister. My other half. The one person who had never betrayed me, never let me down. I trusted her more than anyone else in the world. But trust, I would soon learn, is the most fragile thing we can give someone. And when it breaks, it doesn't just shatter, it destroys everything in its path. I had no idea then how badly Emma's promise would unravel, or how her betrayal would cut deeper than anything I'd ever known. At 16, I thought secrets were just words, and friendship was unbreakable. I didn't yet understand how quickly both could collapse under the weight of jealousy, anger, and choices we could never take back. All I knew was that Emma was my sister, and I would have trusted her with my life. But I never should have trusted her with my family's darkest secret. The summer of sophomore year bled into fall, and I thought I'd buried the secret deep enough that no one would ever know. School was back in session, football games under Friday night lights filled the air with excitement, and Emma and I slipped back into our routine of sharing everything from homework struggles to late night phone calls. But even though I laughed and smiled with everyone else, inside, I was unraveling. Every time my dad left the house, I wondered where he was really going. Every time my mom answered the phone in the kitchen with her voice low and tense, I imagined her talking to lawyers, or maybe even the other woman herself. It was like living inside a house made of glass, one crack away from collapsing entirely. Emma was the only one who knew, and sometimes, just looking at her reminded me that the secret wasn't just mine anymore. She carried part of it too. At first, she kept her promise like she always did. She never slipped, never hinted at it around anyone else. But I started to notice something in her eyes whenever we talked about my parents. A flicker of something sharp, like curiosity mixed with judgment. "Are you sure?" she asked one night when we were sitting on her bedroom floor, painting each other's nails. "Maybe you misunderstood the letters. Maybe they were old, before your parents got married or something." I shook my head. They were recent. The postmarks were from last year. And the name wasn't Mom's. It was a woman named Valerie. Emma wrinkled her nose. "That's awful. But don't you think your mom would have already done something if it was that bad?" "She told me not to tell anyone," I whispered. "Not even you." But I couldn't hold it in. Emma smiled softly, placing her hand on mine. "You can always hold it in me." At the time, I took that as comfort. Later, I would realize it was the beginning of the end. As the weeks went on, Emma became more different. She started asking questions about my dad. Ones I didn't even want to think about. Where did he work exactly? What nights was he usually gone? Did I know where the other woman lived? At first, I brushed it off as curiosity, but eventually, it felt like interrogation. "Why are you so interested?" I asked once, annoyed. She shrugged, biting her lip. I hate seeing you like this. If we knew more, maybe we could do something." "Do something?" I repeated, shaking my head. "This isn't some school project we can fix. It's my family, Emma." Her expression softened. "I know. I just don't want to see you hurt." I wanted to believe that, but part of me wondered why she was so invested. Emma had always been protective, sometimes overly so, but this was different. There was something almost hungry in the way she wanted details, like knowing my secret gave her power she hadn't had before. Still, I brushed off my doubts. She was my best friend. My sister. She wouldn't use this against me. She couldn't. But small cracks were forming in our friendship, and I couldn't ignore them forever. The first real fight happened on a cold October night. We were at a party, one of those house parties where the music was too loud, the air smelled like beer, and kids were packed into the living room like sardines. Emma loved parties. She thrived on attention, always dancing in the middle of the crowd, always laughing the loudest. Me? I was usually on the sidelines, sipping soda and waiting until she was ready to go home. That night, I caught sight of Emma talking to Jason Miller, one of the football players who thought he was God's gift to women. He leaned in close, whispering something that made her laugh. But when she noticed me watching, her face shifted. She said something to him and then pulled me aside. "You need to stop looking so suspicious," she hissed. "What are you talking about?" I asked, stunned. "You're staring at me like I'm doing something wrong. People are going to notice." I frowned. "Notice what?" "You were just talking to Jason." Her eyes narrowed. "Not about that. About your situation." My heart dropped into my stomach. "Emma," I yelled, panicked. "Why would you even bring that up here?" "Relax," she said quickly. I didn't say anything. But you need to be careful, okay? If people start wondering why you're acting weird, they'll figure out something's up. I wanted to scream at her. This was supposed to be between us, sacred, unspoken. But the way she said it made it sound like she had the power to expose me at any time. I hated how that felt. We didn't talk much on the drive home that night, the silence between us louder than any argument. For the first time, I wondered if telling her had been a mistake. The weeks after that were tense. Emma was still my best friend, but something had shifted. She had this way of reminding me, subtly, that she knew something no one else did. If I disagreed with her about something stupid, like which movie to watch or what outfits to wear, she'd smirk and say, well, I guess you can't always make the best choices. It was always playful, always followed by a laugh, but it cut deeper than she realized. Or maybe she did realize. I felt trapped. I couldn't take back what I told her. I couldn't erase the secret from her memory. And every day, I felt the walls closing in a little tighter. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Thursday evening, chilly and damp, the kind of night where the wind rattled the windows and the house felt too quiet. My parents had been fighting again, my mom's voice sharp, my dad's low and defensive. I escaped into my room, blasting music through my headphones to drown it out, when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Emma. Can you come over? Urgent. My chest tightened. I threw on a hoodie and biked the 2 blocks to her house. When she opened the door, her face was pale, her hands fidgeting. What's wrong? I asked immediately. She hesitated, then pulled me inside. I need to tell you something, but you can't get mad. The way she said it made my stomach twist. Emma, what did you do? She bit her lip, avoiding my eyes. I didn't mean to. But I told someone. Just one person. I swear it won't go anywhere. The room spun. My throat tightened like I couldn't breathe. You what? She grabbed my hands, pleading. I'm sorry. It slipped out, okay? I was upset, and I needed to talk to someone. I couldn't keep it all inside anymore. Her words hit me like a truck. This was my family. My secret. And she had handed it over to someone else like it was hers to share. Who? I demanded, my voice trembling with both rage and fear. Emma hesitated for half a second too long. Jason. I felt like the floor had just dropped out from under me. Jason, the guy who couldn't keep his mouth shut about anything. The guy who would turn this into the juiciest gossip the school had ever heard. I pulled my hands away from hers, my chest heaving. How could you? How could you do this to me? I didn't mean. Don't. I snapped, my voice breaking. You promised me. You swore. Her eyes filled with tears. But in that moment, I couldn't care. The person I trusted more than anyone had betrayed me in the worst way possible. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. The next morning at school, I felt sick to my stomach the entire bus ride. Every laugh in the hallway, every whisper by a locker felt like it was about me. My secret. My family. My humiliation. I told myself maybe it wasn't too late. Maybe Emma had exaggerated. Maybe Jason would keep it to himself, just this once. But the moment I walked into homeroom and felt the sudden hush when I entered, I knew. He had already told. Did you hear about her dad? A girl whispered just loud enough for me to catch. Double life, apparently, another voice added. Like, living with some other woman. Total soap opera stuff. My blood turned to ice. I kept my eyes on the floor, rushing to my seat, but I could feel the weight of everyone's stares pressing down on me. By lunchtime, it wasn't whispers anymore. It was outright questions. Is it true? Someone asked, leaning across the cafeteria table. Is your dad cheating on your mom? I shoved my tray away and left, my face burning. I wanted to vanish, disappear into thin air. But there was no escaping it. Jason had told Emma, Emma had told Jason, and Jason had told the entire school. And Emma. She sat across the cafeteria, her tray untouched, her eyes following me. She looked guilty, sure, but not guilty enough. Not enough to stop me from wanting to scream at her in front of everyone. Instead, I waited until after school. I cornered her by the bike racks, my voice shaking with rage. "You ruined me," I spat. Her face crumpled. "I didn't mean for it to spread." "You told Jason," I snapped. "Of course it was going to spread. You knew that. You knew exactly what would happen." Tears filled her eyes, and she reached for me, but I stepped back. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I couldn't hold it anymore. It was eating me alive." "Eating you alive?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "It wasn't even your secret to begin with. It was mine. It was my family. And you destroyed it." For a long moment, she just stood there, silent. Then something changed in her eyes. A flicker of defiance, almost anger. "You act like I'm the villain," she said softly. "But maybe you shouldn't have put me in that position in the first place." Her words cut deeper than anything else. Suddenly, it wasn't about her betrayal. It was about me, about my choice to trust her. She was twisting it, making me feel like the mistake was mine. I turned and walked away, my chest tight with fury and heartbreak. That night, when I got home, my mom was waiting at the kitchen table, her face pale, her hands trembling. "People are talking," she said, her voice low. I froze. "What?" "Someone told me that kids at school know about your father." "About the letters." My stomach flipped. "Mom, I swear I didn't." Her eyes pierced into me. "Then how do they know?" I opened my mouth, but no words came. I couldn't tell her I had trusted Emma, the one person I thought would protect me. I couldn't bring myself to break that last shred of loyalty, even if she didn't deserve it anymore. "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't know how they found out." She looked at me for a long time, disappointment etched into every line of her face. Then she stood and walked away, leaving me alone at the table with the crushing weight of guilt. That night, I cried harder than I ever had before. Not just because Emma had betrayed me, but because I realized something worse. The secret wasn't just a secret anymore. It was gossip, wildfire, and there was no way to put it out. Over the next week, my life became unrecognizable. Teachers gave me pitying looks. Friends who used to sit with me at lunch kept their distance, afraid of getting caught up in the drama. Some kids thought it was funny, turning my family's pain into a punchline. "Maybe her dad's got 2 Thanksgivings to go to this year," one boy joked in the hallway. I kept my head down, my fists clenched, fighting the urge to scream. "And Emma?" She tried to apologize, again and again. She texted me, called me, even showed up at my house once, standing on the porch with tears streaming down her face. But every time, I shut her out. I couldn't look at her without feeling the sting of betrayal. The worst part wasn't the gossip. It was at home. My parents, already on the edge, began fighting louder, harsher, as if the public exposure of my dad's secret had lit a fuse. My mom threw a plate against the wall one night. My dad shouted until his voice cracked. And through it all, I sat in my room, headphones on, wishing I could go back in time to the night I had opened my mouth to Emma. Wishing I had kept the secret locked inside, no matter how much it burned. The breaking point came one Friday night. I had stayed late at school for a club meeting, and when I walked home, I saw Emma waiting on the curb outside my house. "Please," she said when I tried to walk past. Her voice cracked. "Just talk to me." I stopped, exhaustion pulling at every bone in my body. "Why should I?" "Because I'm sorry," she said desperately. "I know I messed up. I know I broke your trust. But I never wanted to hurt you." "Then why did you?" I asked, my voice raw. She bit her lip, tears streaming. "Because I wanted to feel important. I wanted to feel like I mattered to you. Like I was more than just your sidekick, always in your shadow. When you told me that secret, it made me feel powerful. And I ruined everything because of it." Her honesty stunned me. I had always thought Emma loved being the wild, outgoing one. I had never considered that maybe she felt overshadowed, like she was the accessory to my life instead of the star of her own. But even with that confession, even with her tears and apologies, I couldn't forgive her. Not yet. Emma, I whispered, you weren't just my friend. You were my sister. And sisters don't destroy each other. Her face crumpled, and I walked inside, closing the door behind me. That night, I realized the truth. Emma and I could never go back to the way things were. The glass between us had shattered, and no matter how hard we tried, we would always see the cracks. And yet, as much as I wanted to hate her, a part of me still ached for her. Still wished things had been different. Because losing your best friend isn't just losing a person. It's losing a piece of yourself. And I wasn't sure who I was without her. Winter came early that year, coating our town in gray skies and icy wind that stung my cheeks on the walk to school. By then, the gossip about my dad had spread beyond the hallways. Parents whispered in the stands at basketball games. Teachers avoided meeting my eyes during conferences, and neighbors who once waved when we drove past now looked away like we carried some contagious shame. At home, things were falling apart fast. My dad started staying out later, not even pretending to have excuses anymore. My mom's eyes were permanently red from crying, her voice sharp and brittle whenever she spoke to him. I tried to hold myself together, but inside, I felt like I was living in a crumbling house, every wall giving way at once. And through it all, Emma was gone. She was still there, physically, sitting at the lunch table with other friends, laughing in the hallways, posting pictures on Instagram of sleepovers I was no longer invited to. But she wasn't mine anymore. She wasn't the girl who used to braid my hair during sleepovers or sneak me snacks when my mom grounded me. She was someone else now, someone who had taken the most painful part of my life and handed it to the world. I avoided her as best I could. But the thing about a small town is that you can only avoid someone for so long. One icy afternoon in December, fate forced us back together in the most brutal way possible. It was a Friday, and the school was buzzing about the winter dance that night. I wasn't planning on going. The thought of putting on a fake smile and pretending everything was fine made me sick. But when I got home, my mom shoved a dress bag into my arms. "You're going," she said firmly. "Why?" I asked, exhausted. "Because you deserve to be a normal teenager for one night," she snapped. "Now go get ready." So I did. I curled my hair, put on makeup, and slipped into the blue dress she had picked out, even though my heart wasn't in it. At the dance, the gym was strung with twinkling lights and paper snowflakes. Music pounded through the speakers, and kids danced in clusters, laughing and shouting over the noise. I stood by the bleachers, clutching a cup of watered-down punch, when I heard it. "Did you know her dad bought his girlfriend a house?" Like, a whole house in the next town over. Total double life. My stomach twisted. I spun around, and there she was, Emma, standing with a group of kids, her voice carrying over the music as she told my family's story like it was her own personal drama to entertain them. For a moment, the world went silent around me. My ears rang, my chest tightened, and I couldn't breathe. She wasn't just repeating the old rumor. She was adding to it, embellishing it, making my family's private hell into a spectacle. I stormed across the gym, my heels clicking on the floor, and grabbed her arm. "What are you doing?" I demanded, my voice trembling with fury. Her eyes widened, but only for a second. Then she smirked, like she had been waiting for this. "Relax," she said lightly. "I'm just telling them what they already know." "No, you're not," I snapped. "You're making it worse. You're spreading lies." She pulled her arm free, her expression hard. "Maybe I am. But maybe if you hadn't dumped all your problems on me, I wouldn't have to carry them around." The words hit me like a slap. Around us, people had stopped dancing, their eyes glued to the scene unfolding. "You chose to tell Jason," I hissed. "You chose to keep talking about it. Don't blame me for what you did." Her face twisted, anger flashing in her eyes. "You think you're so innocent, don't you? You act like the victim, but you're not. You wanted me to hold your secret, and now you're mad that I let it out." Maybe you're just jealous that for once, people are paying attention to me instead of you. Gasps rippled through the crowd. My heart felt like it had shattered into a million pieces. Jealous? I whispered, my voice breaking. You think I wanted any of this? My family falling apart? Everyone laughing behind my back? You think this is about attention? Emma didn't answer. She just crossed her arms, her jaw tight, and looked at me with eyes that no longer belonged to the girl I had once loved like a sister. I turned and ran out of the gym, tears blurring the twinkling lights until they looked like stars crashing to the ground. That night, when I got home, my mom was waiting again. But this time, she wasn't angry. She was broken. Your father's not coming back, she whispered, her hands trembling around a mug of tea. He's moving in with her. With Valerie. The final thread holding my family together snapped. My dad was gone. My mom was shattered. And the whole town knew. And at the center of it all was Emma, the girl who had been my sister, my protector, my safe place. The girl who had taken my trust and turned it into a weapon. For weeks after that, I couldn't even say her name. At school, I walked past her like she was a ghost. At night, I lay awake replaying every memory we'd shared, the laughter, the promises, the pinky swears, and wondering how it had all turned into this. But the truth was clear now. Emma hadn't just betrayed me. She had destroyed me. And some betrayals are too deep to ever forgive. The weeks after the winter dance blurred together into a haze of silence and cold. My house felt like a tomb, the walls heavy with everything we had lost. My dad had moved out completely, leaving behind boxes of clothes and a closet that looked like a wound. My mom drifted from room to room, quiet and hollow, like she had aged 10 years in a single night. And me? I carried the weight of it all. The whispers at school, the shattered trust, the unbearable ache of knowing the person who had once been my other half had turned into the sharpest knife in my back. I stopped eating lunch in the cafeteria. I started spending my free periods in the library, hiding behind stacks of books, hoping people would forget I existed. But they didn't. The gossip never really stopped. Every now and then I'd catch someone glancing at me, smirking, whispering my name like it was some kind of scandal. Emma was always there, somewhere in the background. Sometimes she'd look at me across the hall, her face unreadable. Sometimes I thought I saw guilt in her eyes, or maybe regret. But other times, she seemed fine, laughing with her new group of friends, acting like nothing had happened. That hurt the most. The idea that maybe she didn't even miss me. I wanted to hate her. I told myself I did. But hate is complicated when it comes to someone who once was your whole world. One night in late January, the snow piled high outside my window, I pulled out the old photo album Emma and I had made years ago. It was filled with pictures of us, gap-toothed smiles at the fair, matching Halloween costumes, goofy selfies where we stuck out our tongues. Flipping through it felt like pressing on a bruise. Every image was a reminder of what we'd lost. But then I found a page we had filled with promises, written in our messy 12-year-old handwriting. We'll always be sisters, no matter what. We'll never tell each other's secrets. We'll grow up and live next door to each other forever. I traced the words with my finger, tears stinging my eyes. We had believed those promises. We had meant them. But somewhere along the way, we had broken them all. For the first time, I realized that maybe Emma hadn't been the only one at fault. Yes, she had betrayed me. Yes, she had spread the secret that tore my world apart. But I had put her in an impossible position too, handing her something so heavy, so explosive, and expecting her to carry it in silence. She had cracked under the weight, and in doing so, she had destroyed us both. That didn't excuse her. It didn't make what she did forgivable. But it made me understand that sometimes friendship isn't about perfection. Sometimes it's about recognizing when it's over and learning how to let go. The real closure came a few weeks later. I was leaving school, my backpack heavy with books, when I saw Emma waiting by the front doors. For a moment, I considered turning and going out the side exit. But something inside me told me I couldn't run forever. She stepped forward, her breath visible in the cold air. Can we talk? I hesitated, then nodded. We walked to the edge of the parking lot, where the snow was piled against the fence. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. Then Emma broke the silence. I'm sorry, she whispered. Her voice was raw, her eyes red. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I need you to hear it. I'm sorry I broke your trust. I'm sorry I ruined your family's secret. I'm sorry I wasn't the friend you needed me to be. I swallowed hard, my throat tight. Why, Emma? Why did you keep talking about it, even after you saw how much it hurt me? She looked down at her boots, her shoulders shaking. Because I was jealous. Not of your family, obviously, but of you. You were always the strong one, the one people liked, the one who had everything together. And when you gave me your secret, it felt like, for once, I had something you didn't. Something that made me important. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted to matter. Her honesty broke something in me. I had always thought Emma loved the spotlight, loved being the loud one. I had never realized how invisible she sometimes felt standing next to me. But even as I understood her, I knew it didn't change the truth. You did matter to me, I whispered. More than anyone. You were my sister. But you threw that away. Tears slid down her cheeks. I know. And I'll regret it for the rest of my life. We stood there in silence, the snow falling softly around us, until I finally said the words that had been burning in my chest for months. I forgive you, but I can't be your best friend again. Not after everything. Some things can't be undone. Emma nodded, her face crumpling. I understand. And just like that, it was over. Not with a scream, not with a fight, but with quiet acceptance that what we had once shared was gone. In the months that followed, life slowly found a new rhythm. My mom and I grew closer, leaning on each other in the absence of my dad. I joined new clubs, made new friends, built a life that wasn't defined by the whispers or the betrayal. The pain didn't disappear overnight, but it dulled with time, leaving scars instead of open wounds. And Emma? She became a part of my past, someone I would always remember, always ache for, but no longer chase. Sometimes our eyes would meet in the hallway and we'd share a small, bittersweet smile. Not of friendship reborn, but of acknowledgement. Of what was. Of what would never be again. Looking back now, I realize that losing Emma was one of the hardest things I've ever faced, not just because of the betrayal, but because it forced me to grow up. It taught me that trust is fragile, that secrets are heavy, and that even the closest bonds can break when tested. But it also taught me something else, that healing doesn't always come from holding on. Sometimes, it comes from letting go. And though Emma will always be the girl who betrayed me in the most unforgivable way, she'll also always be the girl who taught me what it means to survive heartbreak and to keep moving forward anyway.